Hey, everybody. We are going to talk about some companies that we think are great businesses, but not necessarily great investments right now. Tyler Crowe is joining me. Before we get started, take a minute, click subscribe to my channel, and check out the link you see on your screen for a message from my sponsor, The Motley Fool. You get the top 10 stocks to buy right now, and it's the best way to support this work we're doing on YouTube. So I'll go first. Tyler and I have talked a bunch about real estate technology businesses over our time on YouTube. And one that I love as a business but won't buy any more of, I do own a small position, is Zillow. Ticker symbols are either Z or ZG, depending on which class of share you want. And I love the Premier Agent business. I love that it's essentially a must do for agents. Right now, I have one of my properties listed as a long term rental, and my realtor insisted that I give her permission to put it on Zillow. Said it's not going to rent if you don't do it. So it's rental housing for sale. Zillow has 224 million unique users per month in a bad real estate market. In a terrible, slow, historically awful real estate market, they have almost a quarter billion active users. That's really impressive, and that makes me love this business. So, what I don't love about the business is that I'm not a fan of where Zillow sees this going. Now, Zillow has called 2023 their year of execution. Essentially, they're focusing on efficiency, profitability, right sizing the business. They completely wound down iBuying before this year. They're trying to just kind of double down on what they do best, which in a slow real estate market is a great strategy. Then they're planning on scaling the business. And you might ask, with almost a quarter billion monthly active users, how much more scale can there be in a real estate business? And the answer is they want to do a whole lot more. They want to create what's called a super app, a vision that they first announced a few years ago and that I wasn't sold on then and I'm not sold on now. An all in one place where you can just do whatever you need to do to buy, sell, rent, renovate, whatever your house, all in one app. I don't really think that they have a great vision of how to get there. I'm just not seeing how that's going to be as profitable as their Premier Agent business over the long run. For example, Zillow doesn't want to do brokerage. They'll have to partner with somebody to do that. And another big reason I'm not a big fan of Zillow right now is consumers, for the first time that I can remember, are really becoming conscious of the fees they pay in real estate. You saw a high profile lawsuit against the National Association of Realtors, essentially alleging price fixing, and they are, by forcing sellers to pay the buyer's agent commission in order to list on the MLS. It's one of the conditions. Um, the judge ruled in their favor. It's still in an appeals process, but a fee competitive real estate market is not a good catalyst for a platform that depends on the health of real estate agents. If buyers had to pay their own commission, if I'm buying a $500,000 house and I actually have to write an agent a check for $15,000, am I going to hire one? Maybe. At the very least, I'd probably negotiate. But a lot of buyers, more so than they do today, would go it alone if they actually had to write a check. That's not a good look for a business that depends on real estate agents. Now, like I said, this process is going to take years to play out. Zillow is set up to some degree to make it easier for buyers to go it on their own. I mean, if I need to look up a house's value or anything like that, or want to see what's for sale near me, that's the platform I go to. Tyler and I were talking before this that Zillowing has become a word. No one says Redfining or anything like that. Zillow is the platform that everyone equates with real estate. But I just think that they have the most to lose out of the big tech platforms in a fee competitive market. And I'm not sold on the super app. So Zillow's a business I love. I'm not going to sell the stock. I'm down on it a lot. I have a very small position. I'm going to keep it, but it's one that I don't think I'll add any more to anytime soon. Uh, Tyler, your pick was particularly interesting to me. So, what great business are you never going to buy?
No, it's not that I'm never going to buy it. I actually sold it recently.
No, never say never. Never
I
say
actually
never.
recently sold it because I owned it for a long time and then I sold it. And like I said, I'm probably swimming against the stream here a little bit, but the one that I've been just less, just kind of looking at it, being like, I don't know what kind of returns I can get from this in like in the future is Visa. I know it sounds weird. Hear me out. Like I have zero doubt about the business in terms of its profitability, in terms of what it can do. It's the world's largest global payments processing company. Like it's, I have lived in two of the five poorest countries in the world. I lived in Malawi. I've lived in the Gambia. I could use a visa there pretty easily. Like if and I couldn't use MasterCard. I couldn't use an Air American Express. I could use Visa. It gives you an idea of like the sheer scale and reach that Visa has relative to anyone else in the market. It is truly spectacular. And as kind of the gatekeepers of electronic finance, I guess is, for a lack of a better term, it's it's an impenetrable moat. I'm going to give it that. Like, I fail to see a situation where Visa, the business, doesn't exist for a very long time. The reason that I sold recently and the reason that the stock itself is something I'm not as comfortable owning right now is because I think at its current valuations, there is a lot of optimism baked into it that I don't know if that kind of growth is achievable for this business. A thing that I like to look at is called shareholder yield. It is the combination of a dividend yield, the rate at which it buys back stock, and how much it's paying down debt. If you combine all those things together, it's your shareholder yield, or basically how much like return is being given to you, either in form of like greater portion of equity in the business or just, straight up cash and dividend yields. Right now, at its current valuation, Visa has a shareholder yield of 3.3%. That means annually, you're expected to get 3.3%. It's a 0.69% of it is in your dividend. The rest is in buyback and debt, or debt pay down, excuse me, which, 3.3% just is like, that's fine. But if cash is yielding 5%, like how much can you reasonably expect to get on a shareholder yield of 3.3%? I, I, I don't, I don't doubt that it can grow. And I understand the concept that like the business is going to grow from here and probably at good rates. But at that sort of extra high valuation, I think you're baking in a rate of growth that is extremely challenging to achieve over the long term. I mean, we've gone through a very, very long period of economic growth globally, not just the United States. Like, I know we had COVID, but like absent COVID, we haven't really had like a economic slowdown of any real lasting terms. We haven't really seen like a deep global recession like in Europe or Southeast Asia. I know that the Chinese market is slowing down a little bit recently, but like this has been a really long time. And if we were to see some sort of global slowdown, Visa would obviously have slower growth rates. And at today's valuation, it it's basically assuming that that's not going to happen. And I don't know if that's a reasonable assessment. And at its current valuation, I just feel like there are other opportunities in the market that are projected to do better returns over the next several years. And that's why, to me, I just I want to stay away from Visa for a little while.
Once again, thank you so much for joining me. Be sure to click subscribe if you don't subscribe to my channel already. And as always, this video is sponsored by The Motley Fool. Be sure to visit www.fool.com/Frankel to receive the top 10 best stocks to buy now.